And if his vitals don't drop in that hour and a half, then he can go home. And his vitals are dropping just laying in bed. How is he going to pass the car seat test? He's supposed to come home another week later, passes. He's supposed to come home on a Saturday. And he hasn't had the car seat test yet. So we can be ready for another letdown, but my wife comes into the hospital on a Friday. They weren't supposed to do the car seat test till Saturday morning, right? The day he's supposed to leave. So she goes into the hospital on a Friday afternoon, and she walks in and she sees Jude in the car seat. How long has he been in this car seat? An hour. He only has 30 minutes left. She texts me, I'm excited, I'm yelling at work down the hall, 30 minutes, guys, 30 minutes! He's almost there. He's close. Pray. And then he passed. Listen, I understand y'all were here. I'm not sure what night y'all come and pray. Mondays, Tuesdays, nights y'all come and pray. But I'm here to tell you prayer works. Thank you. Thank you for praying. You know what? Prayer is powerful for a number of reasons. When you pray for somebody else, you're putting yourself aside. It puts self-interest out of the window. Can you say amen? Thank you so much for praying for us. There's a quote from an NICU parent, and it reads like this: "To behold the thoroughly breathtaking strength of a baby born too soon, who goes up against life itself, is truly one of the greatest miracles I hope you never see." See, Jude came home March 10th, and he is healthy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with my son. He's just little. He's just a little guy. Man, he'll be bigger than me. See, you know what, when he came home, you know what, I remember that next week I took off of work, man, good luck trying to get me to work that next week. I'm out. I'm there. I'm so used to having my son in the hospital. I remember one night I'm there and with him in the recliner. I'm just sitting there, and in my mind I'm thinking, man, I got to go to the hospital tonight. My son's in my arms. I was so used to going to the hospital. I had to get unused to that. Think about this, man. Listen, God knows what he's doing when you go through things. Yes, there are handfuls of heartache, but I will tell you there are handfuls of promise waiting for you. And during this time, what God was doing in our church was supernatural. God was blessing our church. People began to come into church and get saved. They got locked in. They began to give. People caught the revelation of tithing. How many of you know you're not truly saved unless you tithe? Can you say amen? It's one of the last things. Oh man, I don't want to say amen to that. Listen, that's a part of our heart. Who are you going to serve? Just like Pastor Fernando preached last night. Amen. People were getting locked in. People were getting saved. New converts were bringing visitors to church. Our regular Saturday outreaches that we continue doing were becoming fruitful. We had 5 get saved on one outreach. And mind you, we're not a big church. There's a handful of us that go to outreach. 5 people get saved one Saturday. The next Saturday, 7 people get saved. The next Saturday, 12 people get saved. The next Saturday, 14 get saved. The next Saturday, 17 get saved. People were giving their lives to Jesus Christ. Our finances began to increase. People caught, amen, the revelation. The spirit of poverty was broken from our church. Our finances began to increase. And think about this. Right now, I just got an approval. I get the keys to a new building on May 1st. We have a 1,500 square foot building. Right now, we're going to get into a 3,500 square foot building. More than double what we have now. And he's given us 3 months free rent to renovate. in California. Who does that? I just read an article last night about a burned house, a crispy house, that's selling for $800,000 in California. Who gives free real estate away? But that's not it. Rent was $5,000 a month with property insurance, with taxes, and with keeping up with your maintenance. I prayed, I talked to the agent, listen, man, I can't afford that. He said, well, what can you do? I can do $3,000, but that's going to be stretching it. He gave me the lease proposal agreement, and I could not sign it. There's just something there. I could not sign it. I called pastor, said, God's checking you for a reason. I couldn't sign it. Monday, the agent got back with me, and he approved rent for $2,500 a month. $2,500 a month on a 3,500 square foot building in California. Who does that? God does. See, the truth is, God has handfuls of promise for you. And Pastor Gordon so powerfully preached, what triggers this? Faithfulness. Faithfulness. During all this time with Jude, all the traveling, all the heartache, during the slump in church, the unexciting, uneventful time in our salvation, we never changed anything we were doing. We didn't change a thing. Our church calendar never dwindled. I never set time aside just to recharge. I never changed our church calendar. I prayed. I outreached. We had a revival during that time. We went on invasion teams. We had Bible studies. Listen, faithfulness triggered that. Faithfulness triggers the handfuls on purpose. Think about Ruth, verse 15. And when she rose up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, let her glean, even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. Also let grain from the bundles fall purposely for her. Leave it that she may glean, and do not rebuke her. Listen, it was only through faithfulness that Ruth reached the promises of God. She got to eat. She continued to living. She got to live. Can you say amen? She continued to survive because she stayed faithful. And the truth is, I'm here to tell you this morning, God has handfuls of promise for every single one of you. It doesn't matter the background you came from. It doesn't matter what you're working through. Faithfulness triggers the heart of God. And the problem is today is that some of you never get to see the promise because there's no faithfulness. Isn't that sad? Think about Moses. Moses was to lead the children of Israel into the promised land. God's original word to Moses was not take them to the Jordan and that's it. He said, you're going to lead them. But what happened to Moses? He didn't get to go in because he wasn't faithful. Ruth 3 verse 10. Then he said, blessed are you of the Lord, my daughter, for you have shown more kindness at the end than at the beginning. My first pastor, Pastor Isaac, said this. I started asking him about ministry and wanting to be used by God. And he said, you know what, stay faithful. Because you can never fake faithfulness. And the truth is, faithfulness is a major factor in salvation. It's not just a little piece. It's a major factor in salvation. It's so important for you, not just when you get saved, but as you prolong, amen, your salvation, as you live it out, amen, when you're in ministry, when you get married, faithfulness is important, amen, when God blesses you with miracle money and finances, faithfulness, amen, when you want fruit, converts, amen, you have to be faithful. It's so sad when you see someone get saved and you work at getting them to church and they get to church before you, or they get to church and you're not even there. Isn't that so sad? Faithfulness is a major factor in serving God. And a major truth is, in order to receive the handfuls of promise, you must endure the handfuls of heartache. Handfuls with purpose. The major question is, as I close, the handfuls of purpose, is how do you process life? How do you process life? Amen. We all go through times of struggle. I understand that. How do you process the times of struggle? I know when life gives you lemons, right? Some people are satisfied with just eating those lemons. And you're just there. You know what I do? Grab some water and sugar, make some lemonade. When life gives you lemons, when you struggle, how do you process the times of struggle? Listen to my regular work day. Woke up at 5:30. Prayed. Went to work. Came home from work. Immediately jump in the shower. When I'm in the shower, as soon as I get home, my son Gage is already cranky, so he's taking his nap. Get in the shower, change real quick, we're off to the hospital. We stayed at the hospital till around 9, 10 o'clock. And the only reason why we were able to do that is because we had help. Annie helped us. What a blessing. She came at a moment's notice to Merced. She was able to watch my son Gage while we were taking care of business. I get home from the hospital around 9, 10 o'clock at night. My son Gage he's already kind of winding down, but he's there. So I play with my son, chase him around the house, play with him. I don't want to neglect my son. Then I go to sleep and start the same thing over and over again. And in the middle of all of that, I had sermons to write, Bible studies to write, prayer, outreach, pastoring people. I'm a husband, I'm a father. Job chapter 2 verse 10, shall we indeed accept good from God? And shall we not accept adversity? In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. You know, I always wondered how Job did it. As he's going through things, how did Job not ever sin with his lips? Do you know how he did it?